Today in history, American President Coffin was moved 17 times due to fears of his body being stolen. Hello everyone. Abraham Lincoln's body was moved from the catacombs where he's buried to the Lincoln Tomb in 1871. However, people still had fears that his body would be stolen or desecrated by groups such as the KKK. So what they did was they decided to move his coffin 17 times in one night, making it impossible for anyone to steal the body. This is now known as the Great Coffin Conspiracy. The plan to move Lincoln's remains began in 1871 when the president's son, Robert Todd Lincoln, purchased a plot at the Oak Hill Cemetery in Washington, D.C., not far from where the family home had been located. The plan was approved by the other members of the Lincoln family and the United States government. The War Department agreed to transport the remains from Springfield to Washington, and an elaborate plan was developed. The first step in the plan involved getting the coffin out of the vault without anyone knowing. At 3 a.m. on April 24, 1871, two African-American stonemasons, William Henry Powell and Louis R. Jones, snuck into the vault under the cover of darkness. They used a false bottom to get the coffin out of the vault without anyone noticing. They then put the coffin back into the original case, which had been made especially strong, and then they hid it in a room near the vault. At 9 a.m., a group arrived to take the coffin to the train station, but it wasn't there. They searched for it and eventually found it in the hidden room. It was then taken to the train station where it arrived in a closed metal case with an escort of soldiers. Upon arrival in Washington, the coffin was taken to a funeral home, where it was placed in a receiving vault. In total, the coffin was moved 17 times during that day on April 1871, making it impossible for anyone to steal the body. There were many people involved in the conspiracy, including members of the U.S. Army, the Secret Service, and the Lincoln family. Everyone kept secret to avoid any issues. After the coffin was moved all around, it was finally placed in the new tomb at Oak Hill Cemetery. A funeral procession over 1,000 feet long wound its way through the streets of Washington to the cemetery. Thousands of people lined the streets, and many businesses were closed for the day, out of respect. At the cemetery, a large crowd gathered and a ceremony was held before the coffin was lowered into the tomb. However, people were still suspicious about whether or not Lincoln's body was actually in the coffin. Rumors had circulated that the body had been stolen from the original tomb in Springfield, and that a cadaver was being passed off as Lincoln's remains. These rumors were fueled by the fact that the coffin had been moved so many times, and no one was allowed to see it except for the people who were involved in the conspiracy. To put these rumors to rest, Robert Lincoln allowed for the coffin to be opened and for a few people to view the body. This was done on May 1872 and May 1876. However, these viewings only created more confusion and more rumors. People claimed that the body in the coffin was not Abraham Lincoln's, but rather the body of someone else who looked similar to him. In reality, Abraham Lincoln's body had been stolen in 1878. This was done by a man named David C. So there we have it. Abraham Lincoln's body was moved 17 times in one night to prevent it from being stolen. And even though there were rumors and theories that the body was never actually Lincoln's, the truth is that it was stolen and moved multiple times before finally resting in its current location. What do you think? Was this a crazy plan, or was it necessary to protect the president's body? Let me know in the comments below. And don't forget to subscribe for more videos like this. Thanks for watching.